December 2nd, 1805. Near a small town called Austerlitz, Napoleon Bonaparte is trapped. The combined armies of Russia and Austria, the Third Coalition, have him surrounded. He's outnumbered, his supply lines are stretched thin, and his men are exhausted after a long campaign. For any other general, this would be the end. But for Napoleon, it's just the beginning of his greatest masterpiece. This wasn't just a battle, it was a masterclass in psychological warfare. Napoleon, the brilliant military strategist, knew his opponents well. He knew Tsar Alexander I of Russia was young, ambitious, and eager for a glorious victory. He also knew the Austrian commanders were more cautious, but would follow the Tsar's lead. So, what did Napoleon do? He played the part of a cornered, desperate man. He sent envoys to the Allied camp, pleading for an armistice and speaking of peace. He ordered his troops to pull back from the strategically important Pratzen Heights, a dominant plateau in the center of the battlefield. To the Allies, it looked like a retreat, a sign of fear. They saw a French army seemingly abandoning the high ground, a cardinal sin in warfare. Napoleon even went so far as to deliberately weaken his right flank, making it look like the most vulnerable point in his entire line. The bait was set. The Allied commanders, particularly the overeager Tsar Alexander, took it hook, line, and sinker. Their battle plan was simple and, they believed, foolproof. They would launch a massive assault on Napoleon's weak right flank, roll up the French line, and cut off his retreat route to Vienna. They were so confident that on the eve of the battle, the Allied headquarters was filled with celebration. They believed they were about to crush the great Napoleon. As the sun rose on December 2nd, a thick fog blanketed the low-lying valleys, concealing Napoleon's true intentions. Just as the Allies predicted, their columns began to march, descending from the Pratzen Heights to attack the French right. They were leaving the center of the battlefield almost completely empty. This was exactly what Napoleon had been waiting for. As the bulk of the Allied army committed to the attack on his right flank, Napoleon turned to his marshals and famously said, "One sharp blow and the war is over." He had hidden his main assault force, nearly 25,000 men under Marshal Soult, in the fog at the base of the Pratzen Heights. At the perfect moment, the sun of Austerlitz broke through the mist, revealing the French legions waiting below. The order was given. The French divisions surged up the slopes, catching the Allied center completely by surprise. The few units left to defend the heights were overwhelmed in a ferocious assault. Napoleon had seized the high ground, the very key to the battlefield that the Allies had so foolishly abandoned. From this commanding position, he could now pivot and attack the rear of the Allied army that was still tangled up fighting his right flank. What followed was a total collapse. The Allied army was split in two. Their chain of command was shattered. Panic set in. The French right flank, which had been intentionally weakened, fought a brilliant defensive action, holding back the massive Allied attack just long enough for Napoleon's masterstroke to work. Now, with French troops crashing down from the heights behind them, the Allied left wing was trapped. They tried to escape across frozen ponds, but French artillery fire shattered the ice, sending thousands of men and horses into the freezing water. By the end of the day, the battle was over. The combined armies of two great empires had been utterly destroyed. It was a victory of staggering proportions, a triumph not just of arms, but of intellect. Napoleon didn't win by having more soldiers or bigger cannons. He won because he controlled the narrative. He made his enemies see what he wanted them to see, and do what he wanted them to do. The Battle of Austerlitz teaches us a timeless lesson. True strategy isn't about brute force. It's about perception, patience, and understanding your opponent's mind. Napoleon turned his apparent weakness into his greatest strength, proving that with careful positioning and perfect timing, you can turn any risk into overwhelming power. He won the battle long before the first shot was ever fired. Thank you so much for watching this deep dive into one of history's most brilliant military moments. If you enjoyed this, please hit that like button, subscribe for more content, and ring the bell so you never miss an update. We'll see you in the next one.